In our last talk, we are studying about the Visuddhi, purification. As I have told you already, there are 7 stages of purification, and in our last talk, we have studied the first purification, Sila Visuddhi. Today, let us study about the second of the 7 Visuddhis, Citta Visuddhi. Having purified morality, meditator should make an effort to purify the mind. Purification of the mind is termed Citta Visuddhi in Pali. There are many ways of purifying the mind. First of all, I want to tell you about Vipassana Kammatthana, which can purify our minds. Vipassana Kammatthana, as you all know, is mindfulness insight meditation. Vipassana Kammatthana or insight meditation can be done in 2 ways. One we call Samatha Yanika. One who takes up the basic exercise of Samatha Kammatthana or tranquility meditation for realizing Nibbana. A person who has already practiced at first up to the Upachara Samadhi, that is neighborhood concentration, and the Apana Samadhi, absorption concentration, continue with Vipassana insight contemplation based on this Samatha calm or concentration. Then the second type of meditation is Sauddha Vipassana Yanika, meaning one who directly carries out the practice of Vipassana or insight meditation without the basic exercise of Samatha Kammatthana or concentration meditation for realizing Nibbana. Now, the way you all are practicing is called Sauddha Vipassana Yanika. And Vipassana Bhavana or insight meditation, as you all are familiar, all physical and mental phenomena that occur at the 6 sense doors have to be taken as object and observed. From the very beginning, meditator must note every object whenever that arises. It arises with Khanika Samadhi, that is momentary concentration of insight. At the beginning of contemplation or meditation, meditator's mind wanders about. When the concentration is weak, it is very difficult to control the mind. As soon as it wanders to other objects, our meditators noted that it immediately as wandering, or thinking. And then it ceases to wander any longer. When the wandering mental state is contemplated on repeatedly in this manner for many times, there will hardly be any wandering. Contemplating the wandering mind is what we call Citta Nupassana or contemplation on the mind. Observing the mind is also meditation or Dharma. At this level of meditation, it is found that the mind which is contemplating on its object, it always comes together closely and fixedly. This fixedness of the mind on its object is Vipassana Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration of insight. It is termed Citta Visuddhi. Therefore, the observing mind which is not wandering to other objects and concentrating only on the object to be observed is termed Citta Visuddhi, purification of mind. Thus, one is to exert to purify one's mind. Generally, people try to purify their bodies. Only a few people purify their minds. If one's mind is not pure, one will reach any one of the 4 lower realms of woeful states. Now we human beings can see the animals around us, buffaloes, sows, oxen, dogs, ducks, pigs and hens, etc. with our own eyes. These animals are leading low, base and depraved lives, not because of the impurity of their bodies, but of their minds, and consequence of their past evil thoughts, words and actions. These animals fell into the low and miserable worlds. In order to purify the mind, as we have often quoted, Lord Buddha said thus in Mahasatipatthana Sutta, Ekayano ayam bhikkhve mekho satana visuddhiya, and the introduction of this sutta. The meaning is that bhikkhus or sons and daughters, this is the one and only way for the purification of the minds of beings. Therefore, if one wants one's mind to be pure, one should develop that way of steadfast mindfulness, which we call Satipatthana. That only way is the practice of 4 methods of steadfast mindfulness. Satipatthana. What are the 4 Satipatthana? 1. Mindfulness regarding body, Kaya Nupassana Satipatthana. 2. Mindfulness regarding feelings or sensations, Vedana Nupassana Satipatthana. 3. Mindfulness regarding thoughts, Citta Nupassana Satipatthana. Number 4. Mindfulness regarding the Dhamma, Dhamma Nupassana Satipatthana. If meditators apply themselves most assiduously and continuously in strict accordance with the instruction contained in the Patipatti Sasana, meaning practical instructions, all of them will surely gain purity of the mind. Practicing Satipatthana or steadfast mindfulness, Buddha to gain purity of mind. Similarly, Pachika Buddhas, Arhats and noble disciples to attain purity of mind. That is why one is to exert and develop Satipatthana if one wants to purify the mind. There are many defilements or impurities that make the mind impure. Lova or greed, which wants more and more is a defilement. Dosa or anger, and mana or conceit are also defilements. If one wants to be free from defilements, one is to practice and develop Satipatthana, steadfast mindfulness. In order to be free from defilements, one must develop steadfast mindfulness, that is Satipatthana. For purifying one's mind, practicing and developing Satipatthana is the only and the best way. Buddha compared this mind with the wild elephant of the forest. The wild elephant delights only in the forest. It is not happy in towns where there are buildings and people. However, if the wild elephants are set free, they will not be useful and will be harmful to man. Therefore, the wild elephants are not usually kept as they are, but are lured by tamed and trained elephants, put into a stockade and left without food and water. After some time, they are taken out from it, tied to a post, given a little food and water, and tamed by the elephant trainers. After such taming, they become well-trained elephants and are very useful. Just so, the mind, like wild elephant, must be lured by this Saddha and Chanda, meaning faith and the confidence, faith or confidence and desire. then it must be put into the stockade. The mind is cut away from sensual objects such as seeing entertainment shows or listening to sounds and music, etc. This cutting away is called not giving food and water to the mind, that is wild elephant. This mind is tied to a pose of meditation object and will be tamed. Regarding the mind, Buddha spoke and verse as recorded in Dhammapada. Durangaman, Ekachara, Asariram Guhasaya, Ye Chaitam Sanyamesanti, Maukhanti, Marapandana. Meaning, Buddha said, the mind wanders far and moves about alone. Thoughts appear and disappear one after another. It is non-material, it is not matter, non-material. Those who control their minds will be free from evil passions or mental defilements. It is essential to subdue the mind. If it is not controlled, it can reach the place where it wants to. This verse was uttered by our Lord Buddha with reference to the young bhikkhu, nephew of Thera Sangharakkhita. The name of the young monk nephew also was Sangharakkhita Bhagineya. He was also a monk, being assigned by the uncle monk. The nephew bhikkhu stay in a village monastery. The villagers offered the nephew monk some clothing. During those days, at the beginning of the sadhana, there are no ready-made robes. People just offer pieces of cloth which has to be stitched, dyed and made into robes by the Sangha themselves. So the villagers offer him some clothing to make robes. Then when he received his robes, he intended to offer the cloth to his uncle bhikkhu, his preceptor, for making robes. Intending to go to his uncle just after the 3 months rainy retreat, he kept and stowed away. After the rainy retreat, he went to his uncle to offer the clothing, taking the clothing. And when he reached to the uncle's monastery, he paid homage to him, and as the uncle was sitting, he gave personal service by fanning the Thera with the palmara leaf. And he offered the uncle, "Venerable uncle, sir, may I offer these clothing to make robes?" The uncle, being arahant and contented with whatever he has, he rejected to receive the offering. And twice or thrice this young monk repeated to offer this clothing for the making of robes. And the Mahathera rejected all the time. And finally, the young monk became disheartened, thinking that his uncle has no longer affection for him. And from there, he started thinking, and his mind is obsessed with thoughts coming, as we call, like daydreaming. From that point, his mind wandered off, and a train of thoughts followed. And his thoughts, he was so dejected by his uncle's refusal to accept his offering. He thought of disrobing and leaving the order back to lay life. He thought that after leaving the order as a lay person, then he will sell off this clothing, and with that money he'll buy some she-goat, and the she-goat will breed many kids. And he might have saved some money. Then, since he's working alone, he find a spouse and marry, and tending the goats, and live with livelihood to get a helpmate. He get married to a wife. He became a little bit prosperous and he bought a bullock cart with a pair of oxes. Then when he had a son, he thought of going to the uncle to shoot the son. And he asked the wife to prepare some food to offer to the monk. And they set off from the village to his uncle Thera's monastery. And on the way, when they exchanged hands, the child they are taking along, and the wife dropped the children, the baby on the cart track. And he gets so angry that he tried to strike the wife with a golden stick. At that time, he was fanning his uncle Mahathera. These are all in thoughts like daydreaming. And he accidentally or absent-mindedly struck the Mahathera's head with the Almera fan. The Mahathera, being Arahant with Sakyapa, he tried to reflect and examine the thoughts of the young bhikkhu, and he discovered the whole episode. So the elder bhikkhu remarked, "You are unable to beat your wife. Why have you beaten an old bhikkhu?" Then this young Sangharakita, young bhikkhu, get the shock of his life, and he was embarrassed and frightened at the words of the elder Thera. So he fled. But the young bhikkhus and novices of the monastery chased him and finally took him to the presence of our Lord Buddha. When the whole episode was related to the Buddha, Buddha said that the mind had the ability to think of an object even though it might be far away, and that one should strive hard for liberation from the bondage of passion, ill will and ignorance. Buddha said, it is not easy to subdue the mind. It is very swift and arising and passing away. If one subdues the mind, one is free from the bond of passion. That is the verse just now we have quoted at the beginning of this story. Durangaman ekacharam asariram kuhasaya ye chaitam sanyamai santi mokhandi marapandana. That is the meaning. Then the young bhikkhu observed Citta or the mind and practiced vipassana bhavana or insight meditation. He noted raga or lust if it appeared. He observed anger or dosa as soon as it arises. If he was angry, he noted as angry. If he was happy, he noted as happy. If he was lazy, he noted as lazy. Noting like this is Citta Nupassana. Thus, noting repeatedly, the young bhikkhu become an Arya or noble one. That is why, after purifying sila virtue, one should exert to purify Citta or the mind. Likewise, our meditators here are to note the mind if it is wandering. If you can note so, Citta or the mind will be pure. Then the mind will not wander and it becomes serene and calm. Only the observing mind which is not wandering to the other objects and concentrating only on the object to be observed is termed Citta Visuddhi or purity of the mind. So to conclude our talk, may all our meditators be able to observe the object whenever that arises in order to purify your mind, and may you realize Nibbana, the extension of all suffering soon, and the serial order of stages of seven purities, such as purity